guys, my name is John Anthony Chihawk Soltero. I am the anti-hero, and as some of you may know, recently I've been running a show on my Facebook called Non-Con. I have changed my profile on Facebook to public so that you would be able to tune in. I realize now that the live video has to be made public as well, but I'm going to work on that for today too. So if you tune in, great. You can follow the link to that on every Saturday until either I run out of things to sell or this whole thing is over with, which I'll probably run out of things to sell before this whole thing is over with, at 7 p.m. on Saturdays. Now, that's 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time right now. In Arizona, we don't move our clocks forward or back. So I'll just go by whatever Pacific time is, because if I say 7 o'clock Arizona time, if you're outside of Arizona, you have no idea what that means. But I also wanted to go through and show you some of my pickups. So this would be haul 42, I believe, because I never really started count on that. But I've been working on supporting a couple of different shows. Most recently, some friends that I made from a couple of different shows here in town called Lady T's Comic Keys. They had their very, very first show last Sunday, and they're going to do another one this Sunday on their Facebook page. So it's Lady T, letter T, Lady T's Comic Keys. If you go on Facebook and you check out their page and like it, you'll get an invite to their event. I think they're talking about maybe changing the day that they do their event, or do their live stream, but it'll be announced on there. They make an event for it each time. So this Sunday, tomorrow at 7 p.m. Pacific time as well. They got some really cool books, older books as well. And I was actually fortunate enough to pick up some books from them at their first show. I actually bought the very second book that they showed. I wanted to get the first one. A friend of mine, Tony Corona, who's part of the Collector's Territory, his internet was faster, and he called the book before I could. It was a Western. It was like Davy Crockett or something like that. I didn't really want the book. I just wanted the first purchase from them to be, as supportive as possible. But I got the second one, which is kind of cool. So it's Morris and Tiffany is from Texas, and so they did the Davy Crockett as kind of a tribute to her, and then they did the second one. Let me pull this one. The second book that they put up was Captain Canuck. So Morris is from Canada. So I thought that was kind of cool that they did one for each of them, since they both work on the comics, selling, buying, just super, super knowledgeable about them. Very, very nice people as well. So definitely go check out Lady T's Comic Keys on Facebook right now. So additionally, I picked up Dirty Pair Sim Hell Remastered number 4 when Adam Warren was doing the Dirty Pair books. I picked up, I don't know if you guys remember these, but I actually found a couple more of these afterwards. Vampy 1/2 from Wizard and Vampy number 1. These are both the red foil. You can kind of see them. Yeah, you can see them shimmer a little bit. These Wizard 1/2s were some of my favorite books in the world. If you're not familiar with Wizard magazine was before it was a comic book convention, it was a comic book hobby magazine that gave you stories about, creators and books coming up. It also had a price guide in it. It was probably the most widely used other than Overstreet, only because Overstreet only updated annually, whereas Wizard would update every month. But then it got to be so much that they would really only put in keys. So you would look through Action Comics and only like half the books were listed. Anything that was going up or down, if something was still the same from a couple months ago, they just didn't list it. Kind of the way Beckett Price Guide, I don't even know if Beckett's around anymore, was doing with sports cards, where they would really only list the hot players, the superstar players, and then they would list like the stars who weren't like big time, and then just like I hate to say Joe Schmoes, because you have to be amazing to play professional sports, Even to be the 12th man on a basketball team, or the last guy on the NFL roster, you still have to be phenomenal. So that's kind of a misnomer to say it like that. Anyways, Wizard Magazine was a lot of fun to read. A lot of the stuff they posted, in retrospect, was very immature, very sophomoric. They had costume contests where people would send in pictures of themselves in cosplay, which is what we commonly know now as cosplay. But even back then in the late 90s and early 2000s, like, even Wizard Magazine was just like, didn't take it seriously and made fun of people for it. And like, if there was a fat person wearing a Flash costume, they would have them saying some sort of really mean caption. If it was a really chesty girl who was wearing something revealing, they would make some sort of kind of gross comment about it. It was, in retrospect, probably not the best journalism, as it were, but there were some cool things that came out of it, including the 1/2 issues. I found out about Teenagers from Mars, which is my favorite comic book of all time, because of it. Because they had an indie advertising section where they talked about, like, this book is upcoming next year, and as soon as it came out, I was getting my subs from Fantasy at that time, and I had them put that book on my list. So, I mean, without Wizard, I wouldn't have seen that. Without Wizard, I wouldn't have gone to my first Wizard World convention, Los Angeles in 2005, where I got to meet Stan Lee, where I got to meet John Cassidy, where I ran into Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes. Bought my first piece of artwork, original page by Scott McDaniel and Aaron Soud. I mean, there's some definite good things and good memories from it. It's just, the magazine itself was kind of suspect and questionable. I also picked up, I love these lenticular covers, especially the older ones are pretty cool because they were a little less common. Sensational Spider-Man #0. This was the Ben Reilly Spider-Man when the clone came back. Will come into play later. And then this Wonder Woman issue 142. This is pretty much as reader as you can get. But who cares? Like, it's a super old Wonder Woman comic book. So I'm really glad to have it. So that was from Lady T's Comic Keys from last Sunday. This is from, I would say, let's call it the B cover show of Collector's Territory. This is the last couple of weeks from purchases. I didn't really purchase anything last week because my air conditioning went out. I had to have it fixed, and I asked for commissions, and so that went into my PayPal and immediately had to go towards covering the cost. So I avoided spending any money last week other than, supporting Lady T's. But don't worry, got my AC fixed. Everything's good to go. Let me just pull through this really, really quick. Okay. So last week, Collector's Territory, and I'm assuming a lot of other shows on CBSN, did free books like they did for Free Comic Book Days. Since we didn't really have the event, a lot of the retailers, I don't want to say retailers because they are retailers on CBSN did like free comic book giveaways for like the last 5 minutes, and it was first come, first served. Whoever claimed it picked it up. You still had to pay shipping, of course, but this was the one free book I picked up last week from B cover Collector's Territory on, I think it was last Saturday. Exiles #6. Such a fun series because it was basically just a series of characters. It was a roster, but it was kind of a what if roster. So the characters would change out, and they would go to alternate Earths, and they were basically like Sliders. I don't know if you remember the TV show Sliders from the 90s, where they would go to all these alternate timelines and alternate Earths and stuff like that, and they'd basically have to survive their way through. Quantum Leap was another phenomenal example of that. So it was the same characters like Blink, who basically was killed off before Age of Apocalypse, and then they brought her back for Age of Apocalypse and became this mega popular character, but they couldn't really find a place for her in the regular universe. and for whatever reason never brought her back, even though they've brought every other character back, including Jason Todd and Bucky. Or whatever. Deathstroke, Zero. This is from the 0 Hour. Just love that Scott McDaniel white cover. Very minimal cover. Really cool. Big Scott McDaniel fan. This is before he was doing Nightwing, but still. Deathstroke 22. Deathstroke the Terminator 22, should say. Batman in Detective Comics. Detective Comics 612. Really cool Catman and Catwoman cover there. I should have put these in order. Deathstroke the Terminator 20. It's where he had a different costume. And then the very next issue, Deathstroke the Terminator 21, he's back in his classic costume. Just phenomenal, phenomenal artwork. Again, like they drew in all the chainmail. That's a Mike Zeck cover. You gotta love Mike Zeck. Incredible Hulk 371. It's another great cover with Namor and Doctor Strange. Detective Comics 615. Pretty cool cover that barely has Batman in it. Like he's just in the background, which is cool. Brightest Day 28. Brightest Day Titans 28. Sinestro 23. Love, like whenever they do like propaganda style covers, there's something about that style of artwork that really resonates with me because of basically an advertisement, you know. Maybe it's because I took graphic design in school, but it's still just a phenomenal design using the I don't know if you could see that in the. So the wording, it says fear their might, which I think is great. Some of the more key issues. This was a collected, and I remember I owned this at one point, and oh God, I remember this storyline. I didn't read the entire thing because the crossover was huge, but Batman No Man's Land. This was pretty much when Harley Quinn first appeared in the DC universe, the regular mainstream DC universe. It was the one-shot Batman Harley Quinn. That was her first appearance in regular continuity. But then she showed up in the No Man's Land storyline, so this really kind of brought her into the mainstream. Not so much that collected edition, but that storyline altogether. Black Panther in Jungle Action, number 17, where he's fighting Killmonger. That's a great cover. And Web of Spider-Man, first Ben Reilly, as I said before, would play into it again. I love the Scarlet Spider, and you know I know a lot of people make fun of him now and stuff like that, but it was a fun series, and the Scarlet Spider actually holds even more of a place for me because my best friend in high school, who I've remained friends with since then, Demetrius, loved the design, and I love the design too, like the solid crimson costume with the hoodie. It was something about it that it was so minimal and so very 90s that it made sense. I mean, nowadays it doesn't make sense, but it does make sense from a design standpoint. Demetrius loved the costume and like actually had me draw a picture of Scarlet Spider for him at one point. So, I mean, Scarlet Spider will always hold a special place in my heart because my best friend loved the character. And then Collector's Territory B cover, Presidio Comics gives these away. This was the box they made for last week for the fan days. And so, I mean, and he'll deliver it to you in this if it's local pickup or ships it in this. So it's kind of nice you have something extra to protect your books. Now these are way, way out of order. But I bought a couple of lots this past week, 2 weeks, and 2 of them came in. So I'm pretty excited. I'm going to have some new merchandise, new to me merchandise. It's not just the stuff that I've been, trying to cycle through or go through. honestly speaking, I was selling for my own personal collection, and at times it was starting to hurt because it was stuff that I didn't necessarily want to get rid of. But I get such an appeal from doing this, and a little bit of a, I hate to say it, kind of an addiction and a high from it. It's just nice to present and interact with people on that level. But it was getting down to not to where it totally hurt, but it was going to get down to the point where it was going to be books that I didn't want to get rid of at any price. So I decided to start looking up some lots, and the recommendation of Tony Corona from Old Pueblo Comics and Eric Freichin of Presidio Comics and Collectibles, and even Morris from Lady T's Comic Keys, to look at things online. And even if you end up paying more per book than you do for the entire lot, you still have some inventory. And Tony gave me a key, especially starting out. If I can pay less than $1 per book, I know a lot of people out there are saying you should never pay more than 15 cents a book when you're buying a lot. I'm just starting out, so like if I can plunk down $100 and pick up like 100 books, and then half of those books turn around and sell for $2, and then maybe a couple of them sell for $3 and stuff, then I'm making money off of it, and I can fuel this going forward. So just wanted to show you some of these that I picked up from the lots that I will not be selling in these shows, because these are books that I either wanted or had on a list and was looking for. Big Red Lantern fan. This is Red Lanterns 20 from New 52. Of course, they never did another Red Lanterns. To go with those Vampies I picked up from Lady T's, this is Vampy 12. Incredible Hulk 473. Kind of a precursor to Hulk wearing that time travel costume in Avengers Endgame. Vampy 13. I was contemplating putting this one in there, anything past 10 into the set or into the sale, but I really love the being on the motorcycle. Vampy 11. This is Vampy 10. I actually got 2 copies of this one. I got the regular copy, and then this is the Adam Warren B cover. That's actually going for about $10 right now. Let's just do it this way. Vampy 8. This is 7. So I think I have a full run all the way to 13. 5. Yeah, these are not in order by any stretch of the imagination. 6. This series was so hot back in the late 90s, early 2000s, I believe. Number 4. 3. Kevin Lau did some amazing work. Vampy 2. So yeah, I got 1 through 13, or 1/2 through 13. I've got Outsiders number 2. This is the Winnick and Tom Rainey series. Phenomenal book, great team book. Red Lanterns, it's 13. Didn't have a full Red Lanterns run, but that's okay because part of the fun is going through them. I actually found a couple of these. Bloodshot number 1. This is from the latest run. Red Lanterns 29. It's that great Supergirl and Guy Gardner Red Lanterns. Justice League Gods and Monsters Batman one-shot. Or maybe Batman number 1. I don't remember if this was a 3-part mini like the original series. Red Lanterns 26. This is a phenomenal book. Booster Gold 23. This one came with the lot that showed up on Thursday, I believe. Yeah. Great photo cover. Outsiders 4. And I have Outsiders 1, and maybe I have another 2, so I think I have 1 through 6 now. Outsiders 5. I had all these when they originally came out. These were some subs that I had picked up a long time ago. Outsiders 6. Outsiders 16. And then here we go. I think this is the last one from that Vampy line number 9. This is one I pulled out for one of my friends who loves Laura Croft. Laura Croft and the Frozen Omen, number 2. Red Lantern's 19. Another great action shot. And then this last part of my mail call is something I backed on Kickstarter a little while ago. It's called a Teddy Bear Tale, and they were funding issue 3 of their series. And I had never read the series before, but I really wanted to support them. So I picked up, they had a tier where you could get all their books. So I need to figure out, okay, so this is a Teddy Bear Tale, The Darkest Night, Awakenings, Acts 1 and 2. And this is Teddy Bear Tale, Here Be Monsters, Awakening, Acts 3 and 4. Now, the tagline on this is Teddy bears have been protecting children from the monsters under the bed since 1902. I think that's a phenomenal concept. So these are like teddy bears that actually go out and protect, and I love that concept. And then this is a Teddy Bear Tale, and I think this is a precursor. This might be issue 3. I'm not sure, but they were funding issue 3, and I was able to get 1 and 2 as well. So that's kind of going to be like what I do with my Kickstarter for BP3, for issue 3. It's going to be funding issue 3, but I do have a good backstock of issues 1 and 2 collected, and then the Bubba files. So when I do that, and I'll be posting videos and stuff, you'll be able to pick up both of them, 1, 2, and 3, and then the Bubba files if you want as well. Anyways, I'll be going live in just a little bit on my Facebook, like I said, every Saturday at 7 p.m. Right now, that's Pacific time. And until, like I said, I run out of stuff to sell or this whole thing changes. Here in Arizona, the governor just issued the order that businesses could just open back up. I believe that started to take place at the beginning of this week, more so towards the end of the week, especially Friday and today when I got out on the road to go pick up some stuff. There are a lot of cars on the road, and the malls here are still closed. The malls are going to open back up, I think, next week. Some friends who work at Harley's Toys and Comics that own and operate Harley's Toys and Comics here in town, and they're going to stay closed until at least Memorial Day. My friend Charlie Harris from Charlie's Comic Books here in town, he's doing curbside pickup. He has avoided opening back up. He's not listening to the politicians. He's listening to, Pima County Health Department, CDC, World Health Organization. There are some states that have reopened, like fully reopened, and their cases have just skyrocketed. So this is still very, very serious. Just because somebody somewhere says, no, it's totally okay, we're going to reopen, just think about that. Be safe. This is, for me, this is not a political thing. This is not me saying you should or shouldn't listen to a party or a certain political pundit. You have to think for yourself. And I'm asking you, as somebody in the comic book community, as somebody who's trying to do something, to be more, not just on the creative side, but on the retail side, I want to see my comic book fans and friends out there in the future. I want to be able to one day meet you guys at conventions and stuff like that. And it's going to take a while. So please, please be safe. Wear your masks in public. Wash your hands. Carry sanitizer with you. There's product, merchandise is going to still be there in 3 months or 6 months. I know it's hard staying home as much as possible, or maybe your only outing is going to work or taking a walk around the block or going grocery shopping. We have to look at this as being a life and death situation. And here's the key that I'm going to say to you. It's not just about you. It is about the community as a whole. It is about our friends and family and those that we care about and love. And I think I said this previously in a video, because I definitely said it on Facebook. It rings true. The mask. Here we go. This is not the proper way to do it, but this mask I wore earlier today, so it's okay if I touch it because I still need to wash it. In Dark Knight Rises, John Blake meets head-to-head with Batman, and Batman tells him he's got to take the fight to the bad guys. But you need to get yourself a mask. John Blake looks at him and says, I'm not afraid. Batman says, it's not for you. It's for the people you love. I leave you with that thought. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Stay anti-hero strong. Until next time.